The common misconception that the general public may have about producers is that they're very meticulous when they make their beats and that they put a lot of thought into it. And while this may be true, a lot of producers just produce whatever sounds good to them. Hi, my name is Elvin, and today I'm going to be talking about the bond between an artist and a producer, and also the thought process that producers may have when making their beats. Legendary producer Madlib, who has production credits with Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar, Freddie Gibbs, and the late MF Doom, is all caps when you say the man's name, and a lot more. You see, Madlib grew up in a music household. Both his parents are musicians, and in this household they play a lot of 60s and 70s music.
For me, I just like that certain vibe from the 60s, 70s, and the 80s. You know what I mean? That's all it is. Like, I like a certain sound, and that's what I deal with. That's what I grew up on. So everybody don't have to like it, but that's just what I do.
So he's always been around making beats, especially at an early age. So when Madlib was doing an interview with Red Bull, he was asked about his approach when chopping and sampling beats.
It's hard to sample and it's hard to make music, so it doesn't really matter. Like, as long as you try to do both, it really don't matter. Like, they try to act like sampling's not music, but it's hard to do correctly.
A lot of times his answers is he just makes the beat. There's no thought process for him. For him, it's just natural. It's just whatever sounds good.
It's natural. Like, if you sit there and think about it too much, your shit probably whack. Like, you just have to be natural and the roots of the shit. You just do it and that's that. Like, you sit there and polish your shit for a week. I don't know about all that shit. Like, that's cool for y'all, but I don't know.
And because he grew up in a music household and also his curiosity for searching new records, he just knows what sounds good. It just comes with the experience, which is why it's hard for him to articulate. It's just whatever sounds good sounds good. It's hard for me to explain my process. For him, music arrangement should be natural. Even producer The Alchemist talks about taking a 5-second moment from a song, sampling that, and just making that into a loop.
A lot of the records I sample, the moment might just happen for 5 seconds. It just might be a 2-bar moment or an intro or an outro. And that's what we make the beat out of. And it's like the diligence of listening to all these records and waiting for that moment gives you your scope. There it is. That's the shit right there. I'm staying with that part.
He listens to so many records that he just does it his own way. But we know at the end of the day, it's really up to the artist and what beats they want to perform on. For example, Madlib gave Kanye like 6 CDs of beats. And the only beat that Kanye chose was the beat for No More Parties in LA that features Kendrick Lamar, which he made 10 years prior to the release. Which, by the way, The Life of Pablo came out in 2016, which means that Madlib created that beat in 2006. Crazy timeless. Did I mention that he made this beat on an iPad? The other beats that he gave to Kanye never really used.
All right, so
actually that beat was made off the iPad.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
I remember seeing, and maybe other people saw this on social media, there was like a picture of Kanye with the beat CDs, and it was like, you know, thanks for the beat CDs.
He didn't like them beats. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Kanye sent him a bunch of crazy Quasimodo shit. Like.
So you remember what's on that beat CD?
Oh yeah, 6 CDs.
6 CDs.
Yeah, Gibbs took all of them. He rapped over everything.
So tired of waiting, Madlib just gave the beats to Freddie Gibbs, and Freddie Gibbs, being hungry, rapped on all those beats, which became the collaborative album between Madlib and Freddie Gibbs, Bandana, their second critically acclaimed collaborative album following their first one, Pinata, that came out in 2014.
Kanye waited too long. Gibbs rapped over everything.
So that basically, those beat CDs is what became Pinata, is what you're saying?
Nah, the new
one.
The new Bandana joint, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what to say, you snooze, you lose. But sometimes a beat is also picked out because of pure coincidence. The Alchemist speaks about Mobb Deep and his collaborative work with them. He's worked with Mobb Deep very early on in his career. In fact, they were like the first big artists to work with The Alchemist when he was coming up. He talked about how the beat for the song The Realest came about. Essentially, The Alchemist and Havoc was in the same studio, and The Alchemist was playing Havoc beats. And he played him a bunch of beats, but Havoc only picked one, saying this one I like, this one is hard, I'm picking this one. Here's the crazy part. A couple days later, about 2 days later, Prodigy came through the studio without Havoc. And again, The Alchemist played Prodigy a bunch of beats. And Prodigy was just like, I like this beat. This is the one. And it was the same beat that Havoc picked. Havoc and Prodigy were not in contact with each other. They didn't talk about the beat together. It was pure coincidence, but it really shows the chemistry between Prodigy and Havoc, legendary hip-hop duo. And that's how the song The Realest came about. But the bond isn't also just between the artist, but also the artist and producer. Like I said, Al worked with Mobb Deep very early on, so they had history with each other. And when Al and Prodigy made their collab album Return of the Mac that came out in 2007, Al describes their relationship as being like best friends. They were practically living together. They was eating junk food, watching YouTube, hanging out, just chilling, making music together. And that's how the collab album came to be.
He used to damn near live with me at that time. Like, he would come through every day, stay late, and leave powdered white donut wrappers everywhere, and just like leave a mess and write rhymes. And we would watch YouTube stuff for hours. He used to record stuff off of YouTube with his VHS camera, because he's like, some of this info is gonna go away. Like, P was insane. We did a couple songs and it started going good, and that was the first time that I noticed P trusted me all the way. Like, being able to do that whole project and have P meant a lot to me at the time. It was just gonna be a mixtape. And then it was just like, we gotta put this out for real.
That close bond matters. I mean, look at the collab album Mad Villainy with Madlib and MF Doom. But when Madlib and MF Doom created the critically acclaimed collab album Mad Villainy, they were high off mushrooms. They were in the studio just smoking, just doing drugs, chilling. And then when they woke up, they made music.
Process wasn't really a big deal. We just hung out, went to clubs, got drunk. I'll hand him a beat CD. I'll go to sleep. He'll work on some music. He'll go to sleep. I'll wake up. I'll make some more beats, listen to what he did. We might take some shrooms together if we awake at the same time, and then listen to the music when it's done.
And you could tell when you listen to Mad Villainy, the chemistry between those two. Their sound just meshed so well together. It was the perfect marriage. And that's why the bond is so important. And that continues on. Mentioning Alchemist again and Freddie Gibbs, when they made Alfredo, of course, Alfredo being a play on words, Al, the Alchemist, Fredo, Freddie Gibbs, turned together to the pasta Alfredo, very clever. It was only a matter of time. They respected each other. This was their first time doing collab album together. And this was after Bandana. And the Alchemist reveres Madlib. He loves Madlib and respects his work, and even was intimidated because he didn't think how he could do better than Bandana.
When you're like one producer working with one artist, it's kind of like a cheat code. You know, Freddie and Madlib did Bandana. They did Pinata before that, 2 legendary albums. You know, so I won't front. In the beginning, I was nervous. Madlib's production is so dense and it has so much personality. So at first I was like, damn, how am I gonna do this? You know, but it was like, after a while I thought about it and was like, I can just do the best me.
But Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist respect each other. And all the Alchemist could do is be himself and be the best that he can be. They learned about each other. They sensed their mood. And Alchemist took into account some of the stuff that Freddie Gibbs was going through, or some of the stuff that he was doing, some of the stuff that he likes. For the song Skinny Suge, which is in Alfredo, Freddie Gibbs said that he watched The Black Godfather. He was also watching The Last Dance, the documentary for Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls.
I think at the beginning, you were watching The Black Godfather, right?
Yeah. I don't hear songs, I see them. That's why I like whatever I'm like visually and taking during the time I'm making the album, you know what I mean? I'm kind of like taking little tidbits and things of that.
Just as a rough vibe.
Then I was watching Michael Jordan, Last Dance a lot. I just like kind of just blended that all into what I wanted it to be. I wanted to be like some mafia type shit.
Something you would have got from somebody like Scarface. You know what I mean? Like the visuals. Like this one's real cinematic because the scenes just move.
So Freddie Gibbs was like in a mafioso, diligent, heavy work ethic type of mood. The Alchemist sensed that. And so he created the beat for Skinny Suge, which he describes as like a movie, a setting. Like it was dawn, late night, almost early in the morning. And the way he sequenced the beat was like a movie. But he kept it subtle, kept it low, and let Freddie Gibbs shine. And Freddie Gibbs poured his heart out throughout this track, really showing his vulnerability, showing the hardships that he's been through.
I don't know, that's a real haunting kind of song, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it kind of like makes you want to turn a dark corner. It's just the tone and the feel of the beat. Can't really tell no happy story on that, you know?
I can't a nigga cope with. Man, my uncle died off of overdose. And the fucked up part about that is I know I supplied the nigga that sold it. Put a pistol to my head, I was way too scared, drunk off emotions. I'm drinking and taking these drugs cause I can't numb the pain with smoking. Loner, but I hate to be lonely.
Personally, it's hard for me to listen to it, definitely, especially in a room full of people. But, you know, it's real though.
Got powder on my table, the label call for they offer back. Henry on my line, I ain't got his bread, I can't call him back. Plus I gotta show the promoters, ain't got the dough for that. He lost and set me back, man, I'm literally selling dope to rap.
Alchemist was so impressed when he heard Freddie Gibbs on it. He said that it's rare to get vocals back for your beat and it being exactly how you pictured it to be.
It's rare when you get back vocals that's like match exactly what you thought for the beat.
That's why chemistry is important. Yes, Freddie Gibbs is very talented and very skillful, and so is Alchemist. But when you have that chemistry, when you put that time together, you can make something wonderful like Alfredo. A lot of people don't give credit to the audience, to the listener. When a beat sounds like a transaction being sent to the artist for them to rap on, and then for the producer to get that vocals back and they have to work on it, not being in the studio together, you can hear that. But when the artist and producer are in the same studio together, when they have that chemistry together, that's when you hear something magical.